Hey everyone, welcome back. Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever been standing there looking straight into the eyes of someone you've met at least 3, maybe even 4 times, and their name is just gone? Not on the tip of your tongue, not hiding somewhere in the back of your mind, completely wiped clean, like your brain never saved the file in the first place. And the worst part? It's not even the forgetting that kills you. It's the next 15 seconds of pure panic acting. You start shifting your weight, smiling too hard, desperately hoping someone else in the group will say the name first, or their phone will ring, or honestly, the ground will just open up and swallow you whole. We've all been there. But here's what almost nobody says out loud. The people who do this the most, the chronic name forgetters, they're not careless, they're not rude, and they are definitely not as dumb as that little voice in their head tries to convince them they are. There's actually something very specific happening inside their brains, and once you understand it, the guilt, it disappears. So today we're diving deep into the real psychology of why names slip away so easily, why your brain is actually working overtime against you in that moment, and how to finally stop beating yourself up about it. Stick around till the end because I'm also dropping some super practical tricks that actually work. No fluffy advice, just stuff you can use tonight. Let's rewind to the exact second you meet someone new. Your brain is doing absolute chaos management. In those first few moments, it's scanning their face, reading their micro expressions, picking up their tone of voice, figuring out the social vibe. Are they higher status, lower status? Do they like me? Do I like them? At the same time, you're already planning what you're going to say next, worrying if your handshake was weird, if you're making enough eye contact, if your shirt is tucked in properly. Your working memory, that short-term mental notepad sitting in your prefrontal cortex, is juggling like 6 different balls at once. And right in the middle of that circus, someone drops a single random sound in your lap. Hi, I'm Ahmed. Ahmed. That word means nothing to you yet. It doesn't connect to any picture, any memory, any feeling, any story. It's just floating there, completely isolated. Your brain, being the super efficient machine that it is, looks at this random syllable and basically says, yeah, I'm kinda busy right now. I'll file this later. And then it never does. Psychologists have an actual name for this phenomenon. Back in 1987, researchers did a fascinating experiment that's now called the Baker-Baker paradox. They showed people photos of the exact same guy. To one group, they said, this man is a baker by profession. To the other group, they said, this man's last name is Baker. Weeks later, the people who learned he was a baker remembered the information way better than the people who learned it was just his name. Same exact word, baker, but completely different results. Why? Because when you hear baker as a job, your brain explodes with connections. You instantly picture fresh bread, flour dust in the air, early morning ovens, the smell, the warmth, maybe even your favorite bakery from childhood. But when it's just a name, zero connections. It's empty, it's rootless. Your brain has nothing to grab onto, so it lets it go. Names, by their very nature, are semantically empty labels. Your brain is wired to hold on to things that mean something, things that trigger emotions, images, stories. A name? It's like handing your brain a blank post-it note during a hurricane. Good luck. Think about the last big emotional event you went to. Maybe a wedding, maybe a funeral, maybe even a family function. You probably remember the smell of the flowers, the way the light hit someone's face when they were crying, the specific joke that made the whole room lose it, the awkward silence when someone gave a weird toast. But do you remember the exact printed name on the invitation card? Or the full name of the caterer? Of course not. Your brain made an executive decision without asking you. This stuff matters, that stuff doesn't. Names are almost always filed under that stuff doesn't. They're the printed text on the program. Everything else about the person, their laugh, their energy, their story, that's the actual event your brain is recording. Now, here's where it gets a little personal for a lot of us. A huge chunk of chronic name forgetters aren't actually bad at memory. They're just extremely inside their own heads during conversations, but in an anxious way, not an arrogant way. While the other person is saying their name, your brain is already running its own private commentary track. Am I smiling enough? Is my voice too loud? Did I just talk over them? What should I say next so I don't sound boring? That internal monologue is so loud, it literally bulldozes right over the name the second it's spoken. This is a real documented thing called the next in line effect. It was first shown in studies back in the 1970s. People who were waiting for their turn to speak in a group remembered way less about the person who spoke right before them, because in their head they had already moved on. They were rehearsing their own lines. If you have even a little social anxiety or just high self-awareness, you're basically living in next in line mode 24/7. You're never fully here. You're always half a step ahead, editing yourself in real time. So when the name comes, you've already left the moment. If that's you, here's the reframe that changes everything. You don't have a bad memory, you have a preoccupation problem. Those are two completely different things. Your brain isn't broken, it's just busy protecting you, trying to make sure you don't embarrass yourself socially. It's prioritizing survival and performance over one random label. But let's be honest for a second about the people on the receiving end. When someone forgets your name, especially after you've met multiple times, it stings. It feels like a tiny message. You didn't matter enough for me to remember. Even if that's not true at all, that's what our brains hear. The person who forgot you probably went home thinking about the cool story you told about your village, or the way you laughed at their joke, or that interesting opinion you had. They were present, just not for the name part. Memory isn't a perfect video recording. It never has been. Your brain stores impressions, emotions, patterns, and feelings. It throws away whatever it decides is low priority. One random syllable given at the exact second you were trying not to look awkward? Yeah, low priority. Here's something beautiful. People who forget names easily often share another trait. They tend to be highly associative thinkers. Their minds are rich with context, stories, and feelings. They remember the look on your face when you talked about your dreams. They remember the energy in the room. They can describe what someone was wearing at a wedding 3 years ago. But ask them the name of the person they just shook hands with, blank. Their brain was too busy collecting the real texture of the moment, the human stuff, to waste space on the mechanical label. That's not a flaw. That's a different mental architecture. It makes them amazing storytellers, deep listeners, and the kind of people who make you feel truly seen. They're just slightly worse at the one tiny task society decided is super important. None of this means you should just accept it and never improve. The good news? You can train your brain to do manually what it refuses to do automatically. Here are the techniques that actually work. First, repeat the name immediately and out loud. When they say, "I'm Sarah," you say back, "Sarah, nice to meet you, Sarah." It feels a little weird at first, but it forces your brain to pay attention for an extra second. Second, create an instant association. Link the name to something you already know. Sarah, maybe she looks like your cousin Sarah, or she has curly hair like the actress Sarah Paulson, or her shirt is the same color as a sari you love. Make the connection ridiculous or emotional. The weirder, the stickier. Third, use the name in the first 30 seconds of conversation. So, Sarah, tell me, how do you know the host? Every time you say it, you're hammering that bridge into your memory. Fourth, after the conversation, take 10 seconds to visualize. Close your eyes for a moment and picture their face with the name written across it like a neon sign. Or make a silly mental image. If his name is Ali and he has a big smile, imagine Ali from the cricket team hitting a six with that same smile. Fifth, if it's someone you might see again, write the name down later with one unique detail. Ali, big smile, works in IT, loves motorcycles. Your brain loves details. Do these things consistently and you'll be shocked how fast it improves. You're not fighting your brain anymore, you're working with it by building the associations it was missing. So the next time you blank on a name, I want you to remember this. You are not absent, you are not dismissive, you are not uncaring. You are someone whose brain prioritizes the real stuff, the feelings, the stories, the energy, the human connection, over the single least interesting thing about a person, the random sound their parents gave them before they'd even done anything worth remembering. The name was never the main event. The texture of who they are, that part you've been remembering the whole time. That part is still there, and that's what actually matters. If you're someone who's carried this quiet shame for years, I hope today's video finally lifts it off your shoulders. You're not broken. Your brain is just wired a little differently. And honestly, the world needs more people who remember the important things. Drop a comment and tell me, are you a chronic name forgetter or are you the person who remembers everyone's name perfectly? And which technique are you going to try first? I read every single comment. If you want more videos on how your brain actually works in social situations, psychology hacks that make life easier, and ways to understand yourself better, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. We drop new videos every week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.